Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. One of my goals for 2026, in case you missed it, is to complete and officially read every single book that I have on my 26 in 2026 challenge, and to help keep me accountable, to help motivate me to continue to make progress on that list. I want to be doing reading vlogs throughout the year, reading some of those books. I doubt I'll have vlogs for all 26 books, but in January it worked out because 2 out of the 3 books that I drew for that challenge fell under the categories of contemporary fiction / romance. So in today's vlog we are going to be reading 2 books, both of which are classified as romances but also are a little bit in the contemporary fiction category, as they deal with heavier topics and aren't just romances but also deal with that contemporary fiction thematic element that a lot of books that are romantic but not completely romances tend to do, if that makes any sense at all. So the 2 books that I'll be reading for this vlog, both of which are on my 26 in 2026 challenge, include Pictures of You by Emma Gray, as well as Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. Both of these books are classified as romances, but I don't think that the romance in either of these books is the sole focus, which is why I think they'll pair well together in this themed vlog. And I'm hoping that both bring me some emotions. I do love a good book that makes me cry. My friend Aylin is obsessed with Pictures of You and keeps telling us to read it, and it's time for me to finally do so. All I know about this one is that it is about a girl who somehow ends up with amnesia and her starting over in her life. And then Sweet Dandelion is about a girl who is almost a victim of a school shooting, and just after the trauma and PTSD of that, she ends up going to live with her brother and kind of start over in her life. And it's a lot harder than she thought it would be, but somebody comes along and wants to help her and show her how beautiful she is and how beautiful life can be. And I think both of these have the potential to bring about those emotions of tearing up or maybe crying, and honestly I cannot wait. I do plan to tab and annotate both of these. I do have the keys set up for the books already. I don't know which one I'm going to dive into first, so I'll update y'all in my first clip which one I end up deciding on. I'm trying to wrap up a couple of other books first, one of which is a very thick and time-consuming book, and I want to make sure that I'm done with that one first before diving into these, because this one especially is also on the longer side. In my next chatting clip I'll let y'all know what I end up going with, but stay tuned to hear my thoughts and full synopses on these books. I'm excited for them. I'm hoping to make some great progress on my 26 in 2026 challenge this year, and ideally read every book on that list. I have already read one, which you'll hear about in my January wrap-up. I feel really good about it so far, and hopefully videos like this will help me stay on track for this year-long challenge.
I wish I could leave my skin behind in this old rented room, float my way across the great divide and be buried in you. I've been looking far and wide for what I gotta prove, and putting peaks in my rear view.
Hello y'all, I am here several weeks after my intro to finally chat about the first book that I picked up for this reading vlog, and that ended up being Pictures of You by Emma Gray. I have been feeling a little bit slumpy recently, and yes, I've been finishing books, but I haven't had any 5 stars since 2026 started out of the 10 plus books that I've read at this point. And I think the idea of starting these 2 thicker books was just kind of making me nervous and not feeling motivated to do so at all. So I did film this intro several weeks ago at this point, but I'm officially here. I'm officially halfway through Pictures of You, and I wish that I had not held off on starting it, because it is very safe to say that I am intrigued. I will say I was hesitant at the beginning of this book, but now that I'm further into it, I need to know why the things that are happening in this book are happening, and I need to know the truth about Evie's past
In this story, we are following our main character, whose name is Evie. She wakes up at the beginning of the book in the hospital after getting into a car crash. She has a type of amnesia, and 13 to 16 years of her life are basically gone. When she wakes up, she genuinely still thinks that she is in her teenage years, when in reality she's been married, her husband has passed away, and she pretty much has no contact with anybody in her past, but we don't know why this past is missing and what happened in the past that made her lose all these relationships. Her parents are no longer in contact with her. Her best friends are no longer in contact with her. She's been very isolated over the years, I guess, since getting married, and the truth is finally starting to come out a little bit as Evie tries to figure out what happened, what went wrong, and why she has amnesia and what she's actually forgotten because of this car accident that she was in that killed her husband that she really has no recollection of. Again, I was nervous in the beginning. I wasn't super interested, but once we met our main male character, Drew, I definitely was curious. Basically, Drew and Evie were best friends when they were in high school, and something happens. We don't know quite yet what happens that breaks up their friendship. It definitely has something to do with Oliver though, and he's actually outside of the church where the funeral is being held in the present time at the first chapter or two of the book, but he does not tell Evie that they know each other or used to know each other when they were kids and teenagers in high school, and they are now trying to figure out what memories Evie has lost. And then he is also finally having to admit, like, hey, I knew you in high school, we used to be best friends. And I think there's going to be a romance that blossoms between Drew and Evie. I really hope so. Just the glimpses that we've gotten of Oliver from their time in school together, not a fan of him. He gives off red flags, and I think he's probably a part of the reason why Evie has been so isolated in her adult life from everybody that she grew up with, including her parents. But I'm hoping that we get those answers very soon. I low-key love Evie and Drew together, especially watching their past and how much stronger their connection is when they were best friends versus what Evie's connection was like with her husband. And I just want them to be together, but we'll see what happens when the truth gets totally revealed. I still have 200 pages left-ish, right under 200 pages until I finish this one, so there's space for so much to happen. But now that I'm into it, I'm loving it. Haven't cried yet, but I can see the potential happening for that depending on how attached I get to Evie and or Drew. We will just have to see what happens. I do have tabs in it, of course, as y'all have seen. I also have been annotating it and writing little comments and highlighting things throughout the book, which I have been very much enjoyed doing recently. And I am excited to and scared to see what ends up happening. So we'll chat again in a couple days, probably once I finish this one, because I do know that I can binge the rest of it so quick probably, and we'll see if I end up crying, what my final thoughts are, and just the emotions that hopefully run rampant upon the conclusion of this book.
Well, it's colder here than anyone told me the South could get, and I took to staying up real late and smoking cigarettes. The cheap tobacco burns the way that bridge between us did, and I'm left looking at the glowing ends. But am I too far gone to be running home? 'Cause I'm alone.
Hello my friends, I have officially finished reading, as you all saw in my last B-roll clips, Pictures of You by Emma Gray. This one ended up being a very surprising read for me. So sweet. I gave it 4.5 stars. I am not going to lie, I largely bought this book because Aylin has talked about it for almost a year at this point, and I'm not a huge fan of the amnesia trope typically, but in the story it truly worked. I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. It's not quite a 5-star read, and that is largely because the last 40 or so pages felt quite overwhelming to me, and honestly got a little bit confusing just because there were so many plot twists and moment reveals happening as all of our main female character Evie's memories all came back to her, like when they are in the ocean and she's with Drew. I found those last few chapters to just be a little bit confusing, and I had to like stop and like kind of wrap my mind around what exactly it was that she was remembering that was not the reality that she thought and all those things. So it got a little bit too much for me at the very end, not in terms of like what was revealed, but just how quickly it was revealed and how quickly it all wrapped up. It was just a lot for me, but overall I really did love this one. 4.5 stars. Would highly recommend if you're looking for a contemporary fiction that is very much a blend of romance as well. Deals with some very hard topics like emotional abuse, domestic abuse, sexual assaults, but also has this beautiful love story woven into it. And honestly, so great. I binged this one a lot faster than I thought I would, but this is my first book for this vlog done and my second book read for my 26 in 2026 list, which is great. I did not get emotional at this one, but the emotions were definitely there. I just didn't actually cry or anything, but I definitely fell in love with the story, and honestly could have kept reading about Evie and Drew for quite a while longer. This one is officially done though, which means that it is time to jump into my second book for this vlog, which is Sweet Dandelion. This one I have a feeling could end up being emotional. It is about a girl who is almost a victim in a school shooting. She ends up moving away to live with her older brother, and she meets somebody in this new town that she's in while she is still trying to juggle with and grieve over what happened at her school and all of the trauma that goes along with a situation like that. I have high hopes and high expectations for this one. I have read several books by Macaulay before, and they've all been 4 or 5 stars, but mostly 5 stars for me. So I have expectations for this one and they're pretty high, but the thing that makes me most nervous about this one is the length of it. I don't typically read books that are almost 600 pages long. I like to stick to more of my 350 page mark books, but we are going to be diving into this one. I have a good feeling about it. I hope it's emotional. I would love to cry. Honestly, would not complain about it at all, and we'll see how this one ends up going. I'll check back in with my first update and a fuller synopsis in hopefully a couple days, and we'll see how I end up feeling about this one. Tabs are ready to go. My key is set up, and we are gonna go ahead and dive in with some reading and annotating.
To be somewhere across that great divide. I wish I could take the hands of time and turn them in reverse. I'd take back every long goodbye with venom in my words. The only way to being found is getting lost at first, but all I find are more bridges to burn.
Good morning, y'all. I'm hopping in here with my first update for Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. For such a large book at 600 pages, I do feel like this one is going by very quickly, which I can never complain about. I do have the audiobook for it because, as y'all know, I am very much an audiobook girl, and if I have access to an audiobook, I'm gonna listen to it while also reading physically. So I've been making great progress on this one. My hope is to finish it up today. It is the last day of January, and my goal is to not have rollovers between new months, just because I like going into a new month with a clean slate. So my goal is to finish this one up today. I'm a little bit over 50% of the way through it actually, and I have about 260 pages left at this point. And so far I'm liking it. It's not my favorite Macaulay Smeltzer, and it's not my favorite romance book of all time, but it has been good so far, and I'm very curious to see the relationship and how it ends up actually developing. This book does deal with a lot of very hard topics. Our female main character, Dandelion, she was at her old school the year prior, and there was a shooting there. She lost her mother as a victim in that shooting, and she's dealing with a lot of the aftermath. She was shot as well, she was injured, and there's just a lot of trauma and PTSD that come from that. Now she is living with her brother in another state, and she and her school counselor start having a connection via their meetings that they have every day, and she definitely has a crush on him. There have been some things that have happened. He is still trying to not agree with her feelings and telling her that they can't do this, but we all know how the forbidden romance trope ends up going. Things are going to continue to spiral. They are going to get closer and I assume fall in love and be able to be together in the end. I'm unsure though, because we also have another character whose name is Ansel, I believe, and he is Dandelion's self-proclaimed best friend since moving to this city, and he likes Dandelion a lot as well, but she does not return those feelings. And I think that there's an alternate book cover of this one that's like an Ansel cover, so I don't know how big of a role he ends up playing in the back half of this one, because I think it's interesting that he gets a cover with his face on it, but he's not the love interest right now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I assume that the school counselor, whose name is Lachlan, is going to be the final love interest, but right now we also have the best friend who has very much taken Dandelion under his wing and is trying to show her that he can be a safe space too, to talk about her past and to actually be able to get close to somebody without fear of losing them. So there's a lot of hard conversations that happen in this one, especially in relation to school shootings, trauma, PTSD, the violence that comes with that, and just how commonplace it is. There's also that very big romance element as well. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if I'll end up crying or getting emotional like I thought I would with both of my reads for this vlog, but we'll see what happens in the last 260 pages. The goal is to finish it up today while I'm doing some stuff around the house. I have been tabbing it as well. We got a lot of good tabs and some annotations, but overall though, I am liking it. I will say, when I read the back of this one and then started reading it, I was not expecting it to be an age gap forbidden romance, but I'm not complaining currently. We'll just see what ends up happening, especially because it seems like Ansel may be a big part of the story by the end, but I don't know, we'll see. I am gonna go start listening to this one for the day while I get some stuff done around the house. I think I'm gonna go try to make an iced mocha. Never actually done that before. I've been doing frappuccinos recently with coffee in them, which has been great, but I'm gonna go try to do an iced mocha, I think, and we'll see what happens. I'll take y'all along with me and hopefully we'll get some good reading done today so I can wrap this one up and officially have finished 3 books already for my 26 in 2026 reading challenge. Alright y'all, it has been a couple of hours since my last update and I've officially finished Sweet Dandelion. I have rated this book for right now 3 stars, and I unfortunately feel very torn on my final thoughts on this one. On the one hand, it was a quick read, it was captivating, I was very interested in Dandelion and her story as she grew and learned so much from this past that she has. But on the other hand, the romance is not one that I ended up rooting for. I wish that the little love triangle that we had going on went in a different direction, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything for people who have not read this one, but there was an issue that I had when it came to the conflict of 2 of our characters separating, going their separate ways, and what one person saw as Dandelion needing the space and the time to grow and to come into herself, I saw it as being weak and running away from a situation when communication face to face was key, and I was not a fan of how the entire conflict pretty much came about. I also feel like there was another character in this book who was just done so dirty, and I so wanted him to have his happy ending, and that did not end up happening. And I'm gonna keep it super vague and not share the names in this portion of the vlog because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but we do have the love triangle that goes on with the professor and then also Dandelion's best friend and then her being in the middle of that. But there's just a lot that happens in this book, and honestly I feel like I would have been happier with Dandelion and just the ending of the story if nobody ended up with anybody, but it is a romance. A couple did end up being together. I just wanted things to go in a different direction. So I'm giving it 3 stars. I by no means disliked it. I'm disappointed a little bit just because I feel like there was not deception going on in the storyline, but just I felt like things were going in a direction that they didn't end up going in, and it hurt me to see one of the characters just done so dirty when they were great the entire story. But it is what it is. I did like it. No emotions were had at all with this book either though. I didn't cry. I did really enjoy and appreciate seeing Dandelion's story, and I think that this is such a quick read for the size that it is. It's very easy to get hooked on her character and just want to watch her grow and connect and figure out how to navigate life post this very traumatic event that she went through. Huge content warning for conversations surrounding that though. It is a big part of her story, but overall did not go how I thought it was going to go nor how I wanted it to go, and I feel a little bit frustrated about it. But regardless, I did like it fine enough, and I have officially finished my 3rd book for my 26 in 2026 challenge. I decided yesterday that this little mug was going to be where the chips of books that I've read for the challenge are going to go once I finish them. So I have my little chip that I drew in my January TBR with this book on it. In case you missed it, I will have that 26 and 2026 video tagged above because I do talk about how I'm drawing out chips every month with the 26 books in this challenge on them. But because I have officially finished Sweet Dandelion, it can go in the jar with my other 2. I have this very fun Charlie Donnelly thriller mug that I don't use for coffee because I only drink iced coffee, so I thought I could just go ahead and start putting the chips in the mug once I finish the books on that list. So we officially have 3 in this mug right now, and hopefully I'll eventually have 26 books in this little jar. But with that being said, this reading vlog is officially wrapped up. I read and finished Pictures of You by Emma Gray and Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. Pictures of You, beautiful love story, amnesia trope, definitely has a lot of emotions going on with this one. Gave it 4.5 stars. Sweet Dandelion, on the other hand, is a more forbidden age gap romance that I gave 3 stars. Overall though, had a great time. I was honestly hoping that I would get some crying out with these 2 books, but alas, that did not happen. But hopefully there will be some other books that I read soon that will make me cry. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read either of these 2 books and what your thoughts were on them. Otherwise, that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.